when you have a dirty heart. It says, who is a wise man? Who is a wise man? Well, listen up, we'll see. And endued with knowledge among you. Who's got wisdom and knowledge among us tonight? Well, we'll find out. It says, let him show out of a good conversation his words with meekness of wisdom. Means let your mouth prove what you are. Let your mouth speak for what you are. If you're clean on the inside, if you have a holy heart, if your heart is clean, then prove it with your conversation. But if you have bitter envy, if you have bitterness, you have envy, and you have strife in your hearts, see, he's getting to the root of the issue. He says, don't glory, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom, this bitterness, this envy, this strife in your heart, this iniquity that you have in your heart, it is not wisdom that comes from above, but it is earthly, sensual, and devilish. If you are speaking lies upon lies upon lies upon lies in this church, if you are gossiping, or if you're murmuring and complaining about what God's done for you, or what He hasn't done for you, or you're being mean-spirited, you know what? God says, you are earthly, sensual, and devilish. That's what it says. Very plain. Verse 16. For where envy and strife is, there is confusion. And we know that God is not the author of confusion, but the devil is. In every evil work. But, now here's just the opposite. The wisdom that is from above. That other was not wisdom from above. It did not descend from God. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure. That's what you ought to be speaking. Pure. Then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. God says, hey, you want wisdom that comes from God? This is what you'll be speaking. You put these things in your heart. If you have a clean heart, then you'll have a clean mouth. The root of the fruit is in the heart. And then secondly, the fruit from the root is the tongue. I know that's kind of tongue twisting, so I'll say it again. The fruit, the tongue, from the root is the tongue. That's what it says here in verses 2 through 8. Let's look at verse 2 real quickly. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man. There's only one perfect man to ever live upon this earth, and that was Jesus Christ. And yet He offended people, but not like we're talking about here. It says, and able also to bridle the whole body. And then He gives two examples of how we're supposed to control, or how little things control big things. Such as a horse. You put a horse's bit in his mouth, that's a piece of metal that goes, he opens his mouth, or you put it in there somehow, and then there's a rein on both sides, and it pulls. It has a pivot on there so it moves. And when you pull that thing to the right, that horse's face goes to the right. And when you do that, when that horse is galloping or running, or you kick him and get him going, he's going to go to the right. Because that little bit controls the whole horse. That's what controls him. It's not the man. It's not the tail end. It's not the ears. It's not the part you sit on. It's not his legs. But it's that little thing in the horse's mouth. You pull him to the left and he'll go to the left. Because you're controlling him with that bit that's in his mouth. If you pull back straight on both of them, then the horse will stop. Because it's controlling that horse. Then he talks about a ship in verse 4, which, though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet they are turned about with a very small helm. Whithersoever the governor listens. Don't say helm. I'm hungry. But I didn't eat supper yet. But if you think of a big old giant ship, but then you take of that helm that controls it. It's just a little thing. That's still bigger than we are. Still bigger than our vehicles. Probably bigger than our house in some of them big ships. But think in comparison to the size of the ship, how it controls the ship. And controls if it turns left or right, or makes a full circle or whatever. It controls something mighty big and it turns it. Well, look at verse 6. Or I'm sorry, verse 5. Even so the tongue. It's a little member. Compared to we ourselves. We're kind of big, and some are bigger than others, and some are taller, and different shapes and sizes. But you know what? Always the tongue is smaller. The tongue is smaller than we are. Even so, the tongue is a little member, and it boasts great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. You know what? Your tongue is like a fire. In fact, it says it's a fire in verse 6. And the tongue is a fire. It's able to destroy people. It's able to hurt people. When you tell lies, you know what? Your lies hurt people. You say, hey, yeah, they're my friend, or they're my buddy, or they're my sister, or whoever they are. They're my mom and dad. It ain't no big deal. You know what? You're hurting people. Lies hurt people. They destroy people. So does gossip, as we found out. As we've always found out. Gossip hurts people. Talking about people. And this lady up here told lies about one of our daughters. Said she was a tramp and basically a hole in the corner. You know, that just junk made up. And that's ungodly. That don't help people. That hurts people. It's a fire. A tongue can destroy or it can build up. It can bless or it can curse. It says it's a world of iniquity in verse 6. And again, that's those sins of the heart that I talked about. Pride and hate and selfishness and jealousy. You know what? Those are in envy, and it produces all kind of, or it don't produce anything, but those are products of the iniquity of the heart. It comes from the heart. So is the tongue among our members, in verse 6, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. Well, that's pretty strong language about the tongue. Then we done read verse 7, then verse 8. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. It's like a snake. It's like a rattlesnake. It's worse than a rattlesnake. It can do more damage than a rattlesnake. The fact is, you cannot control this tongue by trying to just control the tongue. It's like Brother Harold Leek was saying, a lot of people, they say, well, we'll give up this addiction, we'll give up this, and we'll stop doing that, and they never get to the root of the problem. And therefore, that's why they keep going back to the addiction. That's why they keep lying. That's why they keep drinking. And that's why they keep going to pornography. That's why they gossip. That's why they're not faithful coming to church. And that's why they steal from the offering plate. And they rob God in tithes and offerings. Because they don't ever get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is we're just dirty, filthy individuals. I thought I had Mark down, but I guess I don't. I know it's in Jeremiah. 17:9. Turn to Jeremiah 17:9. We're almost there. You know, you've heard this verse before. You say, well, I got it under control. Well, I don't. What about you? I don't have it under control. Jeremiah 17:9 says, the heart is deceitful above all things, above everything else in your body, above everything else, all your members. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? It's more wicked than any other member of your body. You say, yeah, but you don't know what I've done with my hands. It don't make a difference what you've done with your hands. God said the heart. The reason why you have a dirty hand and you touch things and you do things with your hands is because you have a dirty heart. Well, you just don't know what I've looked at with my eyes. It don't make no difference what you looked at with your eyes. The heart is worse. The heart is the problem with your eyes. The heart is the problem with our feet. Doing things and going places that it shouldn't go. And not going to places that we should go. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And if you think you got your heart figured out, well, you're just headed for a fall. I don't have my heart figured out, and I don't think you do either. I can tell you who does know our heart, and that's God. He knows everything about Brother Bill. He knows everything about them. He knows everything about every one of us, and He knows our heart better than anybody. And you might think that you're fooling the pastor, and you might think you're fooling a deacon somewhere in the church, and you might be thinking you're fooling a member here, but you're not fooling God, because He says, I know it. I know your heart. I know why you lie. I know why you gossip. I know why you murmur. I know why you complain, because you're just filthy wicked. You're desperately wicked. And I know you. God says, I know you. I know your tongue, because I know your heart. And that's what He says. The root of the problem is our heart. Our words are reflections of our heart. I know when I did my devotions here, I got other stuff that I did, and I went through and I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, what's wrong with my heart? Lord, what do I need to clean up? What do I need to check on? I'm just going to throw a couple things out here tonight to make it man, make it man. If you've been complaining about something, if someone tells you to do something at work, at home, at wherever, and they're in authority over you, and they say do something, and you complain, and you make a face, or you stomp your foot, you've rebelled against God. God says that's worse than witchcraft. God says, hey, that's a problem with the heart. That's a problem with the heart. If you've been mean and hateful and cruel with your mouth, God says that's a problem with your heart. If you've been lying and telling things that ain't true, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a problem with the heart. We all in the same boat here. We're like Noah. We're 8 people in his family. We're all in the same boat. There ain't nobody here that don't have a problem with the tongue. And if you say, I don't have a problem with the tongue, then you're just a big fat liar. I'll just tell you what you are. You're just a liar. Because I have a problem. Everybody in here is a sinner. The Bible says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We all have a problem with the tongue. That's what James said. And I don't know if you're more spiritual than James. I don't know. He was inspired of God. He was an apostle with Jesus Christ. And he says we all have a problem. It's unruly. It's poison. It will destroy you. It's a world of iniquity. Let's stand. Don't have every head bowed and every eye closed. I believe the Lord laid this on my heart because there's people in here that needed this. I needed it. I needed it personally. I know personally of people that have a problem in here with their tongue. I'm not going to come to you. I'm not going to badger you. I'm not going to say nothing. But you know it in your heart. If you know your heart, you know you have a problem with your tongue. You don't need to confess it to me. You need to confess it to God and get a clean heart. You need to take care of it. You know that your tongue can keep our church from having revival. And you say, oh, I love the church. I love the preacher. Oh, I love the singing. I love what we're doing. But, you know, your tongue can destroy this church. Your tongue can keep revival coming